A very good afternoon to you. Welcome to your lunchtime news on MTV Sports. I'm Hizrina Hizbi and here's a look at your headlines. Publication of UN report on Sri Lanka delayed by 6 months. President Maithripala Sirisena visits Bodh Gaya. TNA decides to accept the deputy chairmanship and 2 ministerial posts in the Eastern Provincial Council. 6-year-old boy drowns after falling into an unprotected well in Jaffna. Let's start off with a look at your local news. The former director of transport at the Presidential Secretariat has been arrested. Speaking at a media briefing convened in Colombo this morning, police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rohane said the former transport director had been arrested in connection with 3 missing vehicles. Also in local news, senior lawyer Dr. Pratibha Mahanamaheva says that the recommendation of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights to delay the publication of the report of inquiry on Sri Lanka is a fortuitous opportunity for the government's provable attempts to ensure human rights in the country. He says there needs to be commitment on Sri Lanka's part in order to prevent the publication of the report altogether. The report of the OHCHR investigation on Sri Lanka, or OISL, was to have been published at the 29th session of the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva in March. In a letter to the President of the UN Human Rights Council, the UN Human Rights Chief Zaid Ra'ad Al Hussein noted that he was making the request to delay publication of the report given the changing context in Sri Lanka. President Maithripala Sirisena visited the sacred city of Bodh Gaya today on day 3 of his state visit to India.
Indian President Pranab Mukherjee held a banquet at the Rashtrapati Bhavan last night for President Maithripala Sirisena. The President's media division also noted that the President met with Indian Congress Party leader Sonia Gandhi and former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh yesterday. The President also met with Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar and Finance Minister Arun Jaitley. The President also visited the Indian National Museum today, where both local and foreign devotees were given the opportunity parallel to the President's visit to pay homage to the sacred Kapilavastu relics for the same admission fee.
A workshop was held at the Horana Base Hospital yesterday to educate public officials on preventing the deaths of children by drowning. The workshop was held under the auspices of the Western Province Health Minister Ranjit Somawansa.
The event was held under the theme A Secure Childhood.
In the past, if there was a small boy or girl in the house, our families would board up the place with planks to prevent the child from getting trapped anywhere or even going into the kitchen. If there was a well, then they would fence it off. If there was access to a risky road or waterway, then they would block it off. These are not things we should be saying. These are not things that the Sri Lankan police should be doing. These are not things that friends need to intervene and do. These are everyday household tasks. It is the duty of the parents to safeguard the child they brought into the world. To safeguard them and educate them is the responsibility of the parents. Now we have to bear the responsibility. We convene this discussion in keeping with our consciences today in order to take up that responsibility.
Over the recent past, Newsfirst reported on several incidents of children dying as a result of adult negligence. Let's take a look back at these tragedies.
A 1 year and 9-month-old infant who went missing in Angurwathoda Horana discovered in the Kaluganga. A 3-year-old dies after falling into a well in Matukelevatha Lindula in Nuwarelia. A 4-year-old girl drowns after falling into a well in Horana. A 1 year and 10-month-old infant drowns in the Dambula Oya in Kakirava. Most recent incident today. A 6-year-old drowns after falling into a well in Vattukote, Jaffna. Newsfirst has received reports of 5 child drownings in the first 16 days of February alone. For your attention.
Also in local news this afternoon, State Minister of Culture and Arts Nandamitra Ekanayaka says that he is skeptical about the possibility of changing the political culture of the country. The minister expressed these views at an event held at the Vidya Rathana Pirivena in Mathale.
The event was held to establish an arts collective as proposed by the Sri Lanka Cultural Board.
I'm afraid having assumed duties as a cultural minister, we can develop the culture, we can improve it, we can correct the shortcomings within it. But I'm skeptical as to how the vagrant political culture in the country could be changed. Therefore, it is your responsibility, it is your duty. It is something that needs to be carefully executed by you. What this means is that the public must determine the status of the person who has to undertake political responsibility.
The Ceylon Teachers Services Union charges that an official vote should be held to remove the arbitrary interim committee appointed by the Education Cooperative Society. They pointed out that this interim committee was appointed in violation of the Constitution.
An illegal interim committee has been appointed as before. As per the interim constitution of this institution, an interim committee cannot be appointed. This organization has huge amounts of assets worth more than 100 billion. The people of this country did not expect Jai Vikrama Pereira to do what Johnston Fernando did.
A location in the Kandalama area in Dambulla where illegal alcohol was sold has been raided. Our correspondent stated that 2 individuals who were at the location at the time of the raid and another woman who is said to have run the illegal business have been taken into custody. The police have seized stocks of alcohol ready to be sold. These illegal stocks of alcohol had been hidden in a pit in a paddy field in the Kandalama area. 84 containers and tools have been used to discover from the location. Now, our correspondent stated that the raid was carried out following a tip-off received by the police. The suspects are residents of Kandalama and are due to be produced before the Dambulla magistrate today.
(0114896 www.newsfirst.lk) feedback@newsfirst.lk